Hello guys, and welcome to today's video. In today's video, we're going to be discussing something that did happen during the MW3 beta, and I didn't really have time to talk about or cover too much as I wanted to, but it was huge news that broke during, obviously, the MW3 beta week, and of course I wanted to get footage, which is why you are obviously seeing some MW3 beta footage in the background, so again, enjoy that. But today, we're going to be talking about what changes for COD now that Microsoft officially, yes, officially, owns Activision. There's no leaks, no rumors, none of that. It's all official now. It's all done. It's over. Activision owns Microsoft. Now, this news broke about a few days ago now, but I didn't get the chance to really cover it how I wanted to. But I've let the days go past, and of course, we've got more news since then, and kind of like we've found out some more information that kind of tells us the future of Call of Duty, and there's obviously Microsoft owning Activision doesn't just affect Call of Duty, but of course, being a Call of Duty channel, we are going to talk specifically the effect it has on Call of Duty in the future for not just obviously Microsoft owning it, but the fact that how this affects Sony, how this affects like PC and stuff like that. So let's get into that. Let's talk about Microsoft owning Activision and what this means for Call of Duty in the future. So let's begin with the obvious one, right, which we've discussed for God knows how many videos. It's been leaked, it's been rumored, it's been talked about here, there, and everywhere. We've seen glimpses that showcase it will happen, but the release of old games, old Call of Duty games, onto the Game Pass. Now, of course, being Activision, they'll have other old games, of course, that'll be released to the Game Pass for Microsoft. And of course, this would be an Xbox exclusive thing. And also PC. I'd like to see where that goes, because obviously PC does also benefit from the Game Pass. You do have a PC a PC Game Pass. So I'd love to see what they do with that. Will they give you the PC version of Black Ops 2? The PC version of Black Ops 1? Who knows? We'll have to see what happens in the future. There's nothing confirmed about what games are coming, when exactly they're coming. The only information we do have is they are most likely coming in 2024, okay? I don't expect to see any of these old Call of Duty games coming in 2023. It does look very likely in 2024, based off of what we've been told by Phil Spencer and stuff from interviews and that you can look around and you'll find like sources and information, which I might even leave in the description for you guys to go look at, about interviews that he's done discussing this. But he said about like Activision games specifically, not specifically Call of Duty, just specifically Activision games coming in 2024 is a very likely thing, as they are now like working on getting these games onto there. It doesn't tell us whether we'll get all the games at once, what specific games we're getting, anything like that. We just know it's going to happen. Microsoft was always going to do this when buying Activision, which was obviously for their IPs. They wanted Call of Duty, they wanted their Candy Crush and stuff for like mobile gaming and stuff. Activision holds a lot of like key components to the gaming market, and like I said, Call of Duty is one of the biggest ones of all. People think it influences what console they buy and stuff. And we'll have to see. Who knows? That might influence people's decisions. We might see, the PlayStation players' base go down because of this, which it shouldn't, because from what I've heard and what we've seen, there looks like and sounds like there's going to be no exclusivity. There's going to be no, you get this first, you get this map and they don't get this map, you get this mode and they don't get that map. That goes. Microsoft have said that won't be a thing anymore. They won't be creating exclusivity. It will just be they own Activision and they have its obviously intellectual rights and stuff, but they're not going to make it exclusive. It isn't a case of, beta week 1 goes to Xbox and then beta week 2 goes to PlayStation and you get this camo and they don't get a camo. That's going to be a thing of the past, which is a good thing, okay? The exclusivity thing was stupid in my eyes. Like, it started obviously with the 360. Back in the day, everyone used to own a 360 kind of for it, because Call of Duty was way bigger back in the day, right? We're talking like your Black Ops 2, Black Ops 1 days and stuff. It was way bigger back in the day, and obviously I think a lot of PlayStation sales were affected because of this. And obviously Xbox really won the consoles war back then. Now, obviously, Sony won the console wars this time round. It's kind of still PlayStation. Obviously, this is kind of Microsoft's way of getting back into it with buying all these IPs and stuff, and Activision being a huge one is obviously going to help that. So, yeah, the release of old games onto Game Pass will be coming, okay? That is pretty much going to happen. I've already done videos covering this. We've seen even little hints that they are, like random things showing up in the store saying that you don't need to buy this game because it's, you own this because of your Game Pass subscription, etc. There has been little bits of information that kind of already show there's a lot of work going on in the background to kind of get these games onto Game Pass, which will be fantastic, right? It'll improve the player bases for all old Call of Duties, not just the 360 ones. We're talking your Black Ops 3s, your Ghosts, your Advanced Warfare, whatever game that you might enjoy will probably benefit from this and have a better player base. And next up, we'll talk about something that will also affect old Call of Duties and even probably current Call of Duties and newer Call of Duties for the future to come, which is Will Microsoft owning Activision actually do anything to the games that we receive now in Call of Duty and the old games? So of course, speaking from the old games perspective, we've covered it again here on the channel. A lot of the old Call of Duties do suffer from hacking, from cheating, from a lot of vulnerabilities because they are such old games. They don't get updated anymore, of course, because they're not the nowadays things. What's going to happen with those? Is there going to be improvements in that? Again, there's no like confirmation on this, but what do I think is going to happen? I personally can't see Microsoft not trying to improve this, okay? They want to release these games onto Game Pass. It'd be a huge PR blunder if they were to release Black Ops 2, Black Ops 1, MW2, MW3, all the old great Call of Duties onto the Game Pass, and people go on there and just get hacked, get details stolen, get booted offline, get their IP addresses leaked, stuff like that. That's a major PR blunder just waiting to happen. So I can't see Microsoft not working on this. I believe even if you just tweeted at them, to be honest, because I've seen it before with Phil Spencer just acknowledging this. If you tweet him, or even he must have some sort of acknowledgement of the situation with old Call of Duty games. I can't see there being a situation where they don't try and fix this and make an attempt at fixing this for the old Call of Duty games. But also the current Call of Duty games and the newer Call of Duty games, and also the newer games. Like, are we going to see better improvements, like less buggy games on release? Are we going to see more of a focus on making sure these games are correct at launch and giving the player bases what they want? Like, will things like skill-based matchmaking change? Will the core mechanics of the game change? Who knows, right? But again, I can't see how Microsoft isn't going to have a say. I can't see them just buying the IP just to let Activision do what they want. And of course, we've already seen some big changes that kind of, to me, already tell us we're going to get huge changes in the way Call of Duty is in the next few years. And of course, with the old games too, which is the head of Activision, which is Bobby Kotick, will be stepping down at some point very, very soon. Probably before the end of 2024 at the very least. I believe there's even rumors it's possibly the end of this year he is actually stepping down, which is going to be a good thing, okay? This is the guy who's the head of Activision. He's basically overseen the whole operations since Call of Duty has gone down the way it has. Now, he's not to blame for everything, of course. There's a lot of things that are devs' faults, like Infinity Ward made the game how they made the game. Yes, they could be being told by higher-ups to make the game that way, but at the same time, I don't buy that. Like, let's look at the MW2, MW3 thing that's just happened, right? We've had MW2, which was made by Infinity Ward. They took away red dots. They took away movement. They made the game as low skill gap as possible. The time to kill was crazy. You know, things that the community just didn't want, right? And was absolutely outraged at. And we get MW3, and it's like the complete opposite. It's like Sledgehammer went, no, we're going to add, you know, less visual recoil to guns. We're going to add red dots back to the minimap. We're going to add movement. We're going to make it, you know, a playground for everyone to play, right? Which is what Call of Duty is. Call of Duty is meant for everyone. Whether you camp, whether you rush, whether you, I don't know, whatever you do, whether you just play for fun. It's supposed to be for everyone. And it felt like Infinity Ward just made it for those of lower skill gap and kept pushing that narrative more and more and more to the point where it just alienated a lot of the player base and turned a lot of people away from MW2. So I can see Microsoft having a massive influence on this and change. I don't know, obviously, who's going to be in charge. It doesn't say who's going to take over, if Phil Spencer's just going to do it himself or employ someone from Microsoft to do it anyway. But Bobby Kotick will be stepping down. That should bring some massive changes. Will that change how, you know, like I said, algorithms and stuff, for instance, like bundles being released? Is there going to be more of a focus on the actual gameplay than there is of creating content, you know? And what I mean by creating content is from a Activision point of view, which was making, you know, bundles and stuff that sell for $14.99. Is there going to be more of a push to actually make the games great, make the games good and working and be as good as possible for launches? Because that would be something that we massively need, right? For instance, MW3 is looking okay for a launch, right? There's nothing crazy about it. There's nothing that looks buggy and crazy that's going to, you know, ruin the game massively at launch. It has some improvements to make, absolutely, of course, but there have been some Call of Duties that have released just in a non-working state. Not like things like not having leaderboards, not having certain modes available when they should be, things coming in Season 1 because they weren't ready. Like, there's a lot of things that happen with Call of Duty, and it always seems to happen every year that we just don't get something because they decide, nope, releasing the game now, we're going to push it as soon as possible just to get that quick, easy money, and then throughout the year, we get the fixes for the game to make the game playable by the end of the year. And it's kind of what's happened with MW2, sort of. Like, it seems like they've given up with MW2 now because, obviously, a lot of people turned away from the game. A lot of people aren't coming back to the game. It's the same with Warzone 2. People aren't coming back to the game because of the way it is. It's just not, nobody cares about it. They don't like the movement. They don't like the way it is. And they just don't care anymore. So hopefully we just see games be fully ready at launch and just be ready, even if that means delaying the game. Like, I don't see such a massive problem with that, as long as we get fully working, properly proper games that have all the modes that we want, have the leaderboards and your KDs and everything available, custom games, all the stuff that sometimes just gets left out because they haven't got the time or just haven't been able to do it quick enough to be able to push the games out like Activision was before. So I could see Microsoft making a massive improvement to this. And yeah, the other interesting thing will be, of course, as well, is how lenient Microsoft is going to be with kind of giving us everything from Game Pass. Like, how much are they going to push this Game Pass narrative? For instance, we are obviously talking about the old Call of Duties coming to Game Pass. But one thing that has been discussed here and there, and I haven't seen too much information on, and I'm hoping Microsoft just does it because these games are old. What about DLCs? What are we going to see when it comes to DLCs with old games? Now, I don't know about with other games on the Game Pass. I don't really play too many different games on the Game Pass, It's quite useful for Xbox's, obviously, exclusive stuff like Forza and Halo that I sometimes like to play because, obviously, it comes with the Game Pass. It's fantastic. Again, we won't see it anytime soon, but could we be seeing, new releases of COD? Because obviously now this is Microsoft's thing. Microsoft own this. We won't see it, of course, with MW3, unfortunately. But in the future, when, let's say, we get MW4 or Black Ops 5, Black Ops 6, whatever it may be, will we be getting these games at launch through the Game Pass? Because if so, that changes everything. And that does have a massive influence as well on console sales and stuff, I believe, anyway. It won't obviously massively change people from changing to PS5 to Xbox. But for a lot of people who play Call of Duty, getting an Xbox or even a PC, to use the Game Pass will be a make a massive difference to actually paying for the game. Because, of course, the Game Pass is £15 a month, right, with Gold and Xbox Live or whatnot, and makes a huge, huge difference to, obviously, the price that you're paying for this game. It's £60, £70 a year to buy a Call of Duty, For instance, this game is £70. Obviously, for me, it's £100 this year, unfortunately, but obviously I wanted to get you guys the content. But it makes a massive difference to the prices of Call of Duty. Like, will this change? How much will this change? Will Sony get some sort of... Will Microsoft allow Sony to do something like that, have like a subscription service for them? If Sony plans to have some sort of subscription service, not obviously outside of their version of Xbox Live, of course. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen with that? So, I'm quite excited for the future. I can't see this acquisition of Activision being a bad thing for Microsoft. Being a bad thing in total, like for Call of Duty. This can only be an improvement. I can't see Call of Duty getting worse off because of this. It could, don't get me wrong. I don't want this video to bite me in the ass, but it absolutely could. Microsoft could, absolutely lose it and just fumble the bag, right? And just do all the wrong things we don't want with Activision, and obviously specifically more talking about Call of Duty. But I just see we're going to get better improvements to games, better launches of these Call of Duties, better price points maybe even for these Call of Duties. Like, even the bundles might be made more appropriate. I know they've already made some changes, actually, to prices of games, I believe, but that was because of the currency. I believe some people were using the Argentinian or Brazilian markets to buy their games because they were way cheaper than buying them from the UK or US, etc., because of the currency, exchange rates and stuff, and I think they weren't done appropriately, so they did actually raise the prices. But obviously, a lot of people were conning the system with how cheaper things were through the Argentinian markets and that. So, we'll have to see. It's an exciting future. It's going to be an interesting future. We don't know what's coming. But the only thing I can say is to expect those old Call of Duty games coming very, very soon. Again, 2024 at the earliest. It should, I wouldn't be surprised if it just launches as soon as we get 2024, like January, February time. Because it'd be a very good, appropriate time to have those games on there. Will we see different games made? Will we see the games that we want made? Like, for instance, Black Ops 2 remasters? If Microsoft knows the community wants it, what's not up to them? It could be up to them to tell Activision, hey, we want a Black Ops 2 remaster. We want this to be we want you guys to start working on this project. Who knows? It could happen. So, I'd be excited about the future, especially for myself. Obviously, I'm on an Xbox, so this massively benefits me in many different ways. And even if you're on Sony, like I said, it's still going to benefit you guys as well. You're going to get better games. You're going to get an improvement to the games you get. And probably just an overall better experience in Call of Duty. And I think that's for everyone who plays Call of Duty. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe notifications on. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Goodbye.